Hello and welcome to another Chatbox podcast. It's episode 60 of the Chatbox podcast here today. How are you doing? Right, let's crack on. As you know, each week I have a guest to talk about their career or their job. So let's crack on with this week's guest. It's broadcaster and good friend to many guests who I have had previously before on this very podcast, another podcast. It's Rob from Peak FM and many other radio stations. It's Rob Birnie. Hello, Rob. Welcome along.
Hi, Ben. How you doing? Thanks for inviting me on.
You're welcome, sir. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's nice to talk to you because I've been out of radio for a little bit now, so it's quite nice to kind of reminisce a little bit.
Hopefully, we're going to chat about some funny moments in your radio career.
There's been a few of those, yeah.
Yeah, lots of people who you've met along the way, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully I've not annoyed too many of them.
Don't worry, I've done that. Yeah. Shall we go with the first question, if that's okay?
Yes, hit me with it, Ben.
Let's go for it. Are you ready to rumble in the jungle, as I always say for my other guests?
Rumbling, yes. If there was a gorilla here, I would punch it. I am that ready to rumble.
Let's go for it then. Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
I started in Sheffield. I dropped out of university. I moved to Sheffield just because I had some friends there. We all, 4 of us, were in a house. We were all unemployed for about a year. And at the end of that year, I wrote to Hallam FM and BBC Radio Sheffield. Hallam didn't reply. BBC Radio Sheffield did, and that's where I ended up. And I was sort of, just in the newsroom, making coffee, kind of help. They call it a broadcast assistant, which was just kind of basically helping out lots of different people. But it was a really good starting point because you got to see how loads of people did their jobs. So that there was music presenters and journalists, sports people. And so you got a little look at how lots of different people worked. So it was really interesting. It was really good training.
Brilliant. Yeah. And as you say, there was a lady who I remember who lives in Sheffield, Diane Luke.
Yes. Yeah, that's a name I've not heard for a while, but yes.
Who's a broadcaster herself.
Do I remember her from being on Viking? Is that right? Or is that my memory?
Yeah, she was on Viking, and then she was on the BBC Overnight Network.
Right. I used to listen to her on Viking. I grew up in the northeast of England, so I grew up in Darlington. And I'm sure I used to listen to her on Viking.
And then there used to be people like James Whale as well, who was in the northeast when.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then he went down to Radio Air as well.
That's right. Yeah, Radio Air have had some famous people along the way, haven't they?
Yeah, they even had, because I was told a story by Glenn Pinder when I interviewed him. And he said Richard Whiteley used to come in and play pool every day because it was obviously next door to the ITV calendar building.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And Richard Whiteley used to be a regular visitor to Radio Air.
Oh, did he really? Oh, okay. Wow, yeah, there's another legend, yeah.
The late, great Richard Whiteley.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, because, and also Carl Kingston, who I interviewed as well, he got a job on Radio Air thanks to a man called Peter Tate, who used to present on Radio Air. But one of Peter Tate's, it was on the relaunched Radio Caroline, as he told me, and it was because a man called Dale Winton didn't want to go on Radio Caroline.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he said, and Peter Tate kept going on about Dale wanting to break into TV, and he didn't, and Carl Kingston didn't realise at the time it was Dale Winton.
Oh, okay. Because I used to do drive time on a station called Beacon Radio, which is in Wolverhampton. And Dale Winton used to be on there a few years before me.
Did you ever see him around?
I didn't know. No, we didn't kind of. I think he was already quite famous by the time. I think he was probably supermarket sweeping by the time I got there. But everyone, from what I heard, the people that used to work with him, they loved him, thought he was great.
Yeah, it's brilliant that. And we'll go on to question 2 now.
Mm.
Who were your inspirations in broadcasting growing up?
I got into radio when I was young. I got a clock radio when I was about 5 or 6, and I was obsessed with listening to the radio. And I always used to listen to Radio Tees, which was the commercial station based in Stockton. It became TFM eventually. I used to listen to, there was a guy called Graham Robb and John Simons as well. And it was a really good time for commercial radio. It was really creative. They were always doing kind of little sketches and stunts and kind of comedy characters and things, probably influenced by Kenny Everett, I would have thought, round about that time. But it was great. It was a really good little station. And then I think the first famous person that I got really into in the kind of mid-80s was David Kid Jensen, who I just thought, I think it was his accent, I just thought he sounded really cool. And then I ended up, when I finished off my career working at a station called Planet Rock in London, and David Jensen was there, and I used to see a fair bit of him, and he was one of the, and still is, like one of the nicest guys you could meet. So it was lovely that I started off listening to him, and then I ended up working with him, and he was absolutely lovely, great guy.
I am, as I say, I'm close friends with some of the old Capital DJs, and Capital Girls. Like, I'm good friends with a guy called Sean Tilley, I think.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I'm also good friends with Neil, obviously, and a guy
Neil,
who
look
used,
at that, first name terms, not even doctor.
He's not, as Martin Kellner said, he's not a real doctor.
No, he's rubbish with arthritis, but good at the radio.
He's good at the charts. He's good at curing your chart phobia.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, you've spoken to everyone, Ben. It's very impressive.
I've even had the Radio 1 chart show Incarnation Hurst and the Capital chart show Incarnation Hurst.
Yeah, you've done the work, and that you're slumming it with people like me now. You must be running out of people.
I've even had Stephanie Hurst as well, and I am trying to get Harold co-presenter from the chart show.
Oh,
Katie
okay.
Hill.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, is Katie still in radio? I don't know.
Yeah, I think she is, but she does more other stuff now.
Okay.
I will track her down and get her on board.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure
I've even had Harry Gratian as well.
Wow, there's a Yorkshire legend.
Yeah, whereabouts are you based today?
I'm now in just outside of Bedford. I'm in Bedfordshire.
Do you? What's David Kid Jensen used to do the Nescafe chart on Viking?
That's right. That's when I used to listen to him, and I used to be there with me cassette recorder, recording all the songs and trying to pause it when he spoke, so because I didn't want him talking on my tapes, which I told him later on when I ended up working with him.
Yeah, because Stuart Nicol. So were you a Nescafe chart, Pepsi chart with Nescafe chart with Jensen?
Yeah.
Or Pepsi chart with Foxy, or Radio 1 with Mr. Brooks? Which one were you?
I was definitely a Kid Jensen Nescafe chart. I just thought he sounded the coolest.
Did you ever listen to the other two?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, but I always came back to David Jensen. When I think of the charts now, I still think that's my era, I suppose.
Because Kid Jensen did the last link on Smooth as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and there was a man that Carl Kingston mentored at Radio Air called a certain Mr. Chris Moyles.
Of course, yeah.
Who's now a bit of a loud character, larger than life on Radio X.
That's right, yeah, of course.
He likes to wind up Toby Tarrant.
Yes. Yeah.
And Toby Tarrant's dad is obviously Mr. Millionaire and Mr. Capital Breakfast Show.
Yes, there's a proper legend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend. Chris Tarrant, the one, the only. And yeah, I was looking through the archives the other week. I liked looking through old radio stuff. And there was also, I can't go out on without this podcast for TB Tony Blackburn as well.
Well, you don't get much more legendary than Tony, really, do you?
And he sparked a load of controversy today or the other day when he said about radio presenters, TV presenters becoming radio presenters or something.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said there's too many TV stars on the radio.
Yeah, I think they're different skills, aren't they? I think just you might be great on telly, it doesn't mean you're going to be fantastic on the radio. Some TV people are great on the radio, but it doesn't guarantee it, does it?
No, and also I was looking at Bauer and Global. They've hired ex-soap stars to do some of their programming.
That's right, yeah.
Which I think is, in my personal opinion, I'd have gone for more presenters than soap stars. No disrespect. Because because they put a singer from a certain band called Max George on Hits Radio, where, for example, in that slot, because it's dance music, I'd have gone with more Stephanie Hurst or someone on the Bauer list, if you know what I mean.
You need to be running these stations, Ben. That's what we need.
I'd probably end up putting just radio presenters on, presenters who are out of work and stuff.
I'm going to stick in with you because I think you might be my ticket back in.
Yeah, I'd bring, if, say, for example, if there was a soap star on and they weren't performing well, I'd give them a break and I'd put you on instead.
Yeah, that'll teach them.
Yeah, and also there's a woman as well, Sarah Jane Crawford, who does the Bauer chart.
Right.
And she's a television presenter, and someone says she sounded like she's in a shower room.
Hey, maybe she is. Everyone's working from home these days. Who knows?
The audio quality sounded like it was in a shower. Someone said.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, Benny, if you put me on instead of a soap star, I promise I'll be cheaper. So I'll save you. That's basically how I had a 15-year career, basically because I was a bit cheaper than other people, I think.
I put you on with I'd bring Dr. Fox on board for the chart show.
Oh yeah, you can't, safe pair of hands, can't go wrong.
And I'd just if I could, I'd just let you be his producer.
Ah, I like it. I could do that. I think he knows a lot more about radio than I do, but I could make him coffee and stuff. Back to my original job.
Yeah, you could, and I'd put you on the because someone said if they were in charge of Bauer or Global a few weeks ago, one of my guests said they put Darren Proctor, if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I know the name. Yeah.
And Darren Proctor doing the retro chart stuff.
Okay.
And Neil Fox doing the main build-up chart.
See, you've got it sussed, Ben. You got it sorted, mate.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'll just get on with the third question. Question 3. What is your favourite part about the job?
Favourite part about radio? I've probably 2 favourite bits. When I was at Planet Rock, I got to interview lots of famous rock stars, and of course this is all pre-COVID, so it was all face to face. So you kind of get to be in the room with them, and I got to talk to people like Ozzy Osbourne, Dave Grohl, and Alice Cooper, and all these people that I listen to because I'm quite into guitar music, and so I grew up listening to these people and then getting a chance to meet them. So that was a real kind of privilege of doing that job. Was really good. And I think my overall favorite bit about radio is that it's live. I think I never got bored of the fact that you'd say something and by the time you said it, it's too late. It's out there. And if it's a mistake, brilliant. You've made a cock up, make something of it. I love that whole live thing. I think that's the exciting bit for me.
Brilliant. We'll move on to question 4 because my next guest has just arrived. Sorry.
It's not a soap star, is it?
No, it's another radio presenter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's rattle through then, Ben. We can do this.
Question 4. How has COVID affected your life and line of work?
I'm fortunate, to be honest, because a lot of people have had it really rough, and I've been very fortunate in that, to be honest, I quite like being at home. I'm a kind of homebod, so like the whole lockdown thing, I'm built for that. That's not a problem. And my what I do now is I make videos. I make animated videos, and actually, I found that a lot of companies couldn't go out and shoot videos with a camera crew and stuff, and so they were coming to people like me during COVID. So business-wise, it's been all right. I feel very fortunate, Ben, to be honest. I kind of got out all right.
Brilliant. We'll move on to question 5 because of the timage. What advice would you give to young aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
I'm probably not the best person for advice on how to get into radio, because I think things have changed so much these days. I think if somebody is young and on air, I think the best bit of advice I ever got was from a fella called Trev White, who was my old boss at Planet Rock. And he just said, never say anything on air that you wouldn't say to someone in the street. So like, this is like a massive exaggeration, but you know, kind of DJ talk, like it's just coming up to the big hour of 8 o'clock. You wouldn't say, people would think you're a knob if you said that, if you met them. You'd say, oh, it's nearly 8 o'clock. And that, I think, is the thing. Just talk as if you would talk in real life, and you can't go far wrong.
Brilliant. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
Thanks, Ben. I really enjoyed that, mate. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Do join me again soon for another Chatbox podcast. But for now, please give it up for the legendary Rob Birnie. Do join me again soon for another podcast. This will be available on YouTube and Wix.com. Thank you very much for listening and watching. But for now, that's a wrap.